shall be permitted by anyone during the Board of Education meeting. Persistence in boisterous or inappropriate conduct shall be grounds for summary termination by the chairperson, that's me, of that privilege and address. All speakers must identify themselves by name and address. Only Bridgeport residents or organizations filed with the Secretary of State, district employees, district students, or parents or guardians, or district students shall be permitted to address the Board of Education through public address. Such individuals wishing to address the board shall register to do so no later than 6:30 on the day of the meeting where the public address shall be offered. Registering shall consist of providing the participants' name, the participants' qualifications to address the board, and the participants' topic of interest to address the board. So the first person we have to speak tonight is Leslie Caraballo. You can come up, state your name, your address, and then you can go.
Leslie Caraballo. I'm both representing myself, 161 Howell Street, Bridgeport, and the Executive Director of Accomplishing Real Change, Inc., which is filed by the Secretary of the State with the subdivision Parents Matter, Bridgeport, Connecticut, underneath that. Good evening. I come before you tonight because after the last board meeting that I was present, a situation occurred that should have never happened, in which I am happy that it was resolved quickly by the city attorney. I highly believe that in order for the community, which includes parents, youth, teachers, and others such as grandparents, school, faculty, staff, etc., to begin to have effective conversations along with educating each other by reading and fully understanding what each position entails, including policies, procedures, bylaws, public meetings, Connecticut general statutes, FOI, freedom of speech, and other topics surrounding school systems, because we must all adhere to policies as they are in place for a reason to cause effectiveness and order. But once policies keep getting continuously disregarded, bended, and not followed, we are left wondering, well, how come everything is falling apart and or dysfunctional? It's because everyone is not on the same page, which causes chaos, confusion, and even upset parents, youth, teachers, and faculty staff. We are all supposed to be rising together, but until we start reading and understanding what our position is and the policies in place and following them, we will continue to spiral downward. I encourage the board and the superintendent to take time to read the bylaws, policies, public meetings, etc., front to back, including fine print, so we can begin to move forward on the same page for what is best for Bridgeport school system. We must lead by example, and if we keep listening to others in other positions who have no business dictating the direction they want you to go instead of the direction you need to go based off policy, bylaws, etc., then we will continue to go in circles. We must do better. This is no longer a game.
The next speaker is Jeff Morrissey of the BEA president.
My 2 minutes, does that start after I say my name?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm Jeff Morrissey.
Address too.
Pardon?
Address too.
Oh, my address too? Okay, I live in Torrington, Connecticut, 119 Auburn Way, but I also reside at the BEA office, 4750 Main Street, Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Thank you.
So I have 2 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, so I did have to refer to George Orwell's Rules of Writing to craft this because I only have 2 minutes. Good evening, my name is Jeff Morrissey, and I'm the president of the Bridgeport Education Association. I would just like to take a bit of time to speak on behalf of our members. I've been a teacher in this district for 25 years, and during that time had the pleasure of meeting and working closely alongside truly exceptional educators. This year, as I began my new position as union president, I was able to meet and connect with even more. As we come to the close of our 2023-2024 academic year, I just wanted to take the opportunity to commend our outstanding educators for their efforts and hard work. Our educators' unique ability to connect with students and motivate them, all while creating a safe environment in which to thrive, is truly admirable. Their contributions to student success goes beyond the regular school day. Many of our educators work with students long after the school day has ended. They run clubs, manage programs, tutor, coach sports. And let's not forget diligently working at home to plan lessons and activities, correct papers, and keep all of the paperwork they have up to date. The determination shown over the years to continue the focus on instruction and student learning, most recently during and after the pandemic, defines the strength and tenacity of the teachers in our district. I'm honored to be their BEA president and stand with them as they continue with their exceptional work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and so I had an opportunity to check on the Connecticut Secretary of State website. Parents Matter is not a registered organization. So we're going to skip to the next speaker that's on the list, which is Ms. Shayla Robinson.
My name is Shayla Robinson. My address is 100 Trumbull Avenue, Bridgeport. I'm a parent at Hallen School. My children attend Hallen School. Tonight, I want to talk about my frustrations. And I'm frustrated because I just heard the union president talk about how amazing our staff, your staff, our teachers are doing with our kids. And he's 100% right. But the frustration comes in because how could you all allow the Connecticut Post to post the complete opposite about our educators? How can our educators be blamed for our children failing in this school system? How is that a thing? How did our board, how did our superintendent allow the words to be printed and published and bashing those educators who have been in the system for years, They don't come here now because of that tongue lashing that they got. They've been getting. Connecticut Post is not the first to down those educators, and they're the ones in the trenches. I'm frustrated because we come here and we're read all of our rules and all of our regulations, and we have to behave or you'll be thrown out, but we watch you all sit there and misbehave. We watch you all sit there and argue like children. I'm frustrated because I sit in a meeting and I give my opinion and I tell where our parents are coming from, how our parents feel, what our parents and our children need. And I'm told, we hear you. We want to do better. And you guys are doing the exact opposite. I'm literally shaking because I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated. Enough is enough. Let's stop acting like children and let's act like adults. Let's run this board the way our children need to. I'm gonna finish up. Okay. But I also know there's no one else on the list.
That doesn't give you additional time. So just give me a
second. I'm gonna finish up. That's part of the acting like children. We pick and choose when we want to hold the rules to the standard that they should be. Let's stop. Let's stop. And let's truly sit at the table together. Parents,
thank you,
teachers,
Ms. Robinson.
Board,
Ms. Robinson,
and
we have
everyone.
to continue with our meeting. Thank you so much for your comments. All right, that concludes public comment.
Excuse me, a point of order.
That
what
concludes
about
public
Bridgeport
comment.
Generation Now, are they on the list?
Yeah, I'm making a point of information.
No. Organizations are not Facebook groups. I can ask the.
You said the Secretary of State.
Yeah, you go on the Secretary of State to see if an organization is registered. Ma'am, please have a seat. You are not recognized at the podium.
Point of order.
Okay, state your point.
Point is policy states no such affiliation needed with the Secretary of State.
Mr. Sokolovic, it says organization. Of course, organization is going to be implicit. That is with it. Your point's not recognized because there's no point. It is the bylaws. It is our bylaws. If you want to suspend the bylaws and vote for someone, oh, you need to read the bylaws. It says resident individuals or organization. Parents Matters was entered as an organization. I will not. This is your first warning, Mr. Sokolovic. Disrupt my meeting again, and then you'll be issued another one. This is a meeting for the Bridgeport Board of Education. You are not the Board of Education. It's disrespectful. You're out of order and overruled. The next item on the agenda.
I appeal.
Chair.
I appeal your
Order two, Madam Chair. We have a parliamentarian here. I have the same point of order, Madam Chair.
It's in our bylaws. Our
You
bylaws
are
says for
reading the bylaws.
organizations.
You are interpreting the bylaws quite liberally. There is nothing in the bylaws that say that definition is that an organization is defined as one registered with the Secretary of State's office.
I let the parliamentarian come up. Are we just going to allow Facebook groups to just come up and stand or
We have numerous
recognized
groups in the city that are not necessarily registered with the Secretary of State's office.
No, then it's not a recognized
There are
organization. It
organizations
doesn't carry
registered in
any of
numerous
the
different
legal
ways that are not
documents.
necessarily registered in Bridgeport with the.
Let the parliamentarian speak.
Yes, but while the parliamentarian is considering it, I have.
You've made your point, and it's been overruled by me. Parliamentarian, please. Mr. Traber, this is your warning that you are acting out of order. This is your warning that you are acting out of order. The parliamentarian is going to issue his opinion, and you continue to speak over and disrupt my meeting. Go ahead, parliamentarian. You are speaking. This is unprofessional conduct. Let the parliamentarian speak. Because you're the one disrupting my meeting, please. And you're the, you were a teacher? All right, sir, please conduct yourself in a professional conduct. This is your second warning, Mr. Traber.
Okay.
If you want.
All right, well, look to yourself in the mirror, please.
It's safe to speak now?
Yes.
The issue just came to my attention. I have the meeting conduct bylaws, policy 9160. It states only Bridgeport resident individuals or organizations. I have no idea if this organization qualifies or not, but I have to give you an answer and I can't do it tonight.
Okay.
So I just move on.
Okay, thank you. So we will move on. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. There is no appeal because you are objecting to our bylaws. So you would have to, no, I'm reading our bylaws. No. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes.
You have the right to appeal. correct?
Approval of minutes. It's not an appeal. You cannot address the parliamentarian. This is your second warning.
The gentleman behind me is
There's an, let me clarify this. Let me clarify. This is the third time, Mr. Sokolovic. You think this is a joke? Our children are failing and you want someone from Branford to come up and speak.
I would like a rule.
No, you want to appeal our bylaws. So you have to make the proper motion to object to the bylaws. That is what our bylaws state. No, I'm reading the bylaws. The bylaws are what the bylaws state. It is not for you to issue any favoritism. If it'll be helpful, I can provide you with our sign-up sheet. It has the printed out copy of our bylaws. It calls for individuals or organization. I can show you that Parents Matter is not registered with the Secretary of State. No, this is your warning. This is not a meeting with you, Miss Robinson. You're disrupting my meeting as well. So we recognize organizations. that are actual. What we have here is a resident of Branford with a group called Parents Matter. I searched the Secretary of State. Parents Matter does not exist.
And my recommendation is that you can research it. If it is an organization, they can speak at the next meeting. But well, I have not been asked. I'm asked, the chair can ask me a question. If
It's not a ruling of the chair because I'm just reading verbatim from the bylaws and they're trying to use dilatory motions. All right, this is your third, Mr. Sokolovic.
right, and
This is your third warning. It's not registered.
and you asked me for my opinion. I said I have to research it.
Yeah,
I think it's
so
reasonable.
it needs research.
The ruling of the chair was that the organization was not recognized by the Secretary of State. I have not researched that point of law. I do not know that. Why? You don't have a legal opinion. I'll address the chair or the board.
There were an address and a background check confirming the address to speakers on the list. And therefore, as a Bridgeport resident, Bridgeport residents have the right to speak. Bridgeport employees have the right to speak. District employees, district students, parents or guardians of district students shall be permitted to speak through public address. And that is our bylaws. There's no ruling by the chair. I'm just strictly reading off of our bylaws.
And she asked me as the parliamentarian for my legal opinion, and I said, I have not researched that issue. So
Okay,
therefore, there's nothing to appeal. I
There's
have
nothing-
to have a chance to research it.
thank you so much. Mr. Sokolovic, this is your third warning. And no, there's no point. Your point of order is against the bylaws. You'll have to move to amend the bylaws for this meeting. No. No.
Got a lot more respect for you because you're a lawyer.
All right. So all right. Parks, I need Mr. Sokolovic escorted out. I'm going to call a stand at ease. We're going to go on a break. Mr. Sokolovic, we're going to stand at ease. That's the equivalent of a recess. All right, this is a return. Time now is 7:18 of the regular meeting of the Board of Education. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve regular meeting minutes from May 13th, 2024? It's been moved by Ms. Perez. Is there a second?
Sakalovic.
Is there been a second by Mr. Sakalovic? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. The next item is approval of special meeting, May 7th, 2024. Is there a movement for, it's been moved by Ms. Perez. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Ms. Casimir. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. There's a point of, Mr. Sakalovic has made a point of order. Please state your point. Okay. Who's seeking to be recognized? Clarify your point, please. State your point, Mr. Traber.
I simply want to abstain on the votes, Madam Chair.
Okay,
You're not going through the votes. You're,
okay,
there's
Mr. Traber.
all in
thank
favor.
you.
There's anybody opposed, abstentions.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that Mr. Traber abstains. The motion still carries to approve the regular meeting from May 13th, 2024, as well as the special meeting from May 7th, 2024. The next item on the agenda is the chairman's report. There's a point of personal privilege regarding the fan. I'll make the point of personal privilege. There's been an issue with the fan. Okay. All right. I'm actually just turning on the PowerPoint on my end so I could follow along. And so above, all right. So this is my chairman's report for today's meeting. We can go to the next slide. I had the opportunity to go on the Lisa Wexler show and discuss my goals and aspirations as board chair to be focused solely on student outcomes, given the profuse failure in the district. I had the opportunity to really talk about how this board has not truly engaged in community outreach in terms of developing student outcome related goals. And so I'm thankful to Attorney Wexler, probate judge, the Honorable Ms. Wexler, for extending that time and opportunity to truly discuss and get to know what my goals are as chair. I truly believe with Dr. Levy David, this district has the opportunity to rise above the consistent and profuse failure that's been of the past, and that our children can succeed and our children will succeed. Next slide. I also had the opportunity to meet with Make the Roads Youth Action Committee, discussing some of their concerns, again, about student outcomes and preparations for college and college readiness. So I appreciate the organization and taking time to discuss with me as we continue to address the students' needs. Number one was college preparation and financial aid assistance for more high school level students. And so they also had a proposal they brought to us, and I've spoke to them and suggested that maybe with the assistance of their grant writers, it can be possible. Anything's possible if we put minds together. And as long as we're focused on the outcomes of our students being successful and ready for college in the real world, we're on the right track. Next slide. I want to thank Ms. Stevens for inviting me to the Adult Ed Spring Concert at Central High School. I completely understand what the adult learners are going through learning a second language. Up there performing, I think that's the level 1 class, so they only know a few phrases in English. And so all the adult learners got up and performed multiple songs. That group right there sung We Are the World. Was it We Are? Mr. Woodson attended with me. Do you remember what that group was singing? I think it was We Are the World, Michael Jackson. But it was wonderful, and they really put on a show, and I appreciate Ms. Stevens and all the work our adult ed program is doing to help second language learners be ready to be part of the workforce here in Bridgeport and Connecticut. Next slide. I also was invited to attend Fairchild IT's Youthful Impact Awards. There was about 62 students who was able to get paid, earn Coursera college credits, as well as a Google certificate and really workforce preparation. It was honestly, in like hindsight, it's a sweet deal. I wish I had a deal like that when I was in high school, because it really gives our students a competitive advantage. They were able to earn certificates in IT support, data analytics, marketing. I am missing a whole bunch of more cybersecurity, and really hands-on. It lives up to the name of the institution, and Youthful Impact is also looking to expand in other campuses here in Bridgeport, which I'm really excited about to extend that opportunity. Also, as you can tell in the photo, the Honorable Joseph P. Ganim, Mayor of Bridgeport, attended as well to talk to the students. And then we just have a short video to show from the awards.
Skills rather than problem. And business that is thriving is not learning is going to be a everyday skill, and I still don't consider this to take place and it's always going on what's changing in the field. You have to do experience areas of the so that is without getting experience, building that. It's never shown in that representation of others. We have a role there.
I want to do something like every career, but like we ideal that we don't think we want to do something so involved. I call it become purpose, be involved with something. Person for the people have to be made, doesn't have to be equal or structure, but those are all great things. It's somewhere, somehow. Think about that element of it. I would actually consider that.
I'm going to move on to the next slide. Superintendent and I also had the opportunity to walk around and meet local vendors at Hall Neighborhood Houses, Black Wall Street. It was a good opportunity to talk to parents in the community, as well as parents in the Alliance districts that came out to serve as vendors, as well as shop the experience in the east side of Bridgeport. And we can move on to the next slide. We attended the Discovery Magnet Schools spring concert, and there's I forgot what the babies were singing, but it was an amazing concert series put up by all the grades at Discovery. And congratulations to the kids on excellent work. And I look forward to actually attending more musical performances. I just want to take a second to appreciate the Bridgeport Arts Department. I know Fame Academy last Monday had a show. Marin had, I believe, a musical on Shrek. Roosevelt School and a few other schools that I wanted to and wanted to attend and watch the students perform, because that's why I'm here to serve, is to watch them is to flourish and become ready for the world. Next slide. And then lastly, last week I had the privilege, along with several other board members, to attend the Lions for Community Empowerment 60 Years of Empowerment celebration. Originally, Lions was the ABCD program, and it has been serving this community, the city of Bridgeport, for 60 years now, with a variety of different programs, assistance, early childcare, technical skills, a variety of, if there's any kind of help that any parent or educator in this district, whoever needs help, I strongly urge to look to Alliance as a resource. They're truly about empowering the individuals that live in this city so that they too can rise and we can all rise together to be a better Bridgeport. And I believe we have one more slide after that one. And so I just want to take a quick second to thank all our student reps. We have a few of them that are graduating high school seniors, and this is the last regular board meeting. And I know one of our student reps from Bassick High School, Beyonce, had gave her final report. And I just want to take a second to thank all our student reps. And I think as a board, we should stand up and clap to them, because it's never an easy thing to come up and speak, and they were advocates for their school. I'll make sure I send them this part of the video link in case they. Yeah, so June 10th is going to be their the majority of the students' graduation. So I wanted to just make sure we thank them for being our eyes and ears on the campus, because as a board member, we're the most furthest removed. And so really listening to the reports regarding restrooms, food quality, and the gamut of issues that they experience really broadened my eyes as board chair as to how I can serve them and prepare them for outcomes. And I appreciate them. And then that concludes my chairman's report. The next item on the agenda is committee reports and referrals. The first item on the agenda is the Facilities and Finance Committee. That's chaired by Ms. Casimir.
At the Facilities and Finance Committee meeting held on May 20th, 2024, we had an update by Mr. Garcia on the Bassick High construction. Mr. Garcia says we're on budget and on schedule. The project started in 2016, just for those that didn't know. Mr. Larry Schilling provided photos of the construction, talked about specifics, and answered questions that the board had and the committee had. Among other things, Michelle Otero said it's up to us and the bus company to figure out the flow of traffic for bus stops. There were community meetings about the new Bassick Heights construction, and Mr. Garcia says there will continue to be more community meetings. The Bassick Gym will be CIAC compliant so that we can host championship games. And thanks to community member Joanne Kennedy, she's a former Bridgeport Public Schools parent, for educating me about the robust history of talented student athletes that come from Bridgeport. Mr. Garcia has revitalized the facilities internship program starting this summer. His department is working with the workplace as well as Career Hub. It's an excellent way for students to learn about the trades. And who better than our facilities department? We also had a school closures update. The superintendent says we are much closer to finalizing an agreement with the firm that will support us with this process. Once that occurs, there will be a more comprehensive report on the next steps. The superintendent is following the policy regarding school closures. It will be a comprehensive review of all facilities, including future planning for additional facilities. The project may take 6 months to complete. This process takes a while and it's not due to delays on either side. Finalized state and city budget update was done by interim CFO, Ms. Patricia St. Louis. If you want more details about the meeting, the committee meeting, just so I can cut the time, we're on YouTube. Ms. Patricia St. Louis talked about, she said that Governor Lamont proposed a $9.3 million increase to ECS and Alliance funds. City Council approved the mayor's proposed budget with $3 million increase, which brings the city contribution to $78.5 million for fiscal year 25. Ms. St. Louis said the operating revenue will increase by $12 million, which is $12.9 million less than requested. This will lead to a withdrawal on the fiscal year 25 reserves. Total operating revenue will be $280 million, which is the city will fund 28.1% and the state will fund 72%. There will be a 4.4% increase in operating revenue. The state allowed higher levels of ECS funding due to the ending of ESSER to assist districts with looming fiscal cliffs. She said that we expect the upcoming fiscal cliff to occur in fiscal year 26. She says the budget heavily relies on state ECS funding. The operating gap is $41 million, but the district will only receive $12 million in additional funding, with an estimated $26 million, which will have to be withdrawn from the internal service fund. Currently $36 million in reserves, estimated $31 million at the beginning of fiscal year 25, and projected ISF balance will be $4.5 million in fiscal year 26. Thanks to Intra-District Discovery Magnet, Principal Horkheimer, for the visit. The next Facilities and Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 17th at 6 p.m.
All right, any questions or referrals to committees? I'll go in order of hands up. Mr. Skolovic.
Yes, I would like to I'd like to refer the creation of an internal service fund held in a bank account by the Bridgeport Public Schools, which is.
Speak to the microphone, please.
Sorry, I think there's two mics on. That might be an issue as well. I would like to refer creating a bank account under control of Bridgeport Public Schools for the internal service fund due to recently passed legislations that allows us to do so. That will put us in control of our own destiny, because oftentimes the city fiscal watchdogs have said that basically that is their money and that we have to comply with certain things that in fact are not true. So we should be in control of our own destiny. And the new legislation allows up to 2%. So I would like to explore that at the Finance Committee meeting. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sokolovic, Ms. Casimir has requested that you send that in the email as well, just to follow up.
I'm sorry.
Send your
Yes.
request via email.
Thank you.
Mr. Traber,
Could you repeat that request? To start with, because I couldn't hear what he said. Madam Chair?
Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes, in short, it's I'm referring creation of a internal service fund bank account under control of the Bridgeport Public Schools rather than leaving it on deposit with the city.
Okay, let me make sure I understood. Pursuant to the new law, or as a result of the new legislation, the creation of a separate account? Yes? Okay. And just my question was, where are we left with in terms of the internal service fund? Ms. Casimir? How much do we have left, or Ms. St. Louis?
Mhm. Ms. St. Louis, come to the. Please hit the, okay.
We currently have $36.6 million in ISF. We're forecasting a withdrawal of approximately $7 million in the current fiscal year. So that will leave us with $31 million at the beginning of the next fiscal year. So as of July 1st, 2024, we'll have a little over 31 million.
Thank you. All right. Is there any more referrals to the instruction? Please state your question. Also, this is for referrals to committee and clarifications. So it's not there. If you have any specifics, I believe that Ms. St. Louis and this item was discussed in thorough detail during the committee meeting. And I believe Ms. St. Louis just answered the question as to how much we will have at the start of the next fiscal year. So please clarify your inquiry, but this is for referrals to committees, not questions on items that were discussed during the committee meeting.
We were advised at the committee meeting that we could ask one or two questions at the committee meeting. So
Mr. Traber, can you please just ask your question to Ms. St. Louis?
My question, Madam Chair, I need to say. So the question I was trying to ask, and so I'll ask it as a follow-up question, is that I understand that we're left with 31 million, Ms. St. Louis. I apologize for not being clear. What I was asking about was where will we be at the end of the next year in the proposed budget as it stands now? So the 31 million minus the additional money that we will be compelled to withdraw from the budget as a result of the money we didn't get from the city will leave us with how much at the end of the 24-25 fiscal year?
At the end of 25, we're estimating a $4.5 million balance that will be available in ISF reserves.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Then, oh, there's a question online, Mr. Medina.
I have no questions. I just want to refer something to the committee, if it's appropriate at this moment, because I know we were talking about bus safety when it came to BASIC, as far as the schools. And I would like to have an overview of all the bus safety in all of the schools. I understand in my experience that some of the schools have, in their capacity, somehow, some way, blocking off in and out of school and in and out of school safely. And I would like to get an overview of all the schools, because I saw in some of our public has some concerns about streets and the safety, especially Blackham and John Winthrop, which I experienced this past election season. So again, I just want to refer to the committee to get an outlook for the bus safety in all the schools, that we know what we're doing to keep our kids safe.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Medina. Could you please send that transportation inquiry via email?
To who would you like me to send that?
You're making a referral to the Facilities and Finance Committee, so that's who you'd be making the referral to.
Okay, I just asked would you like me to you as chair or the chair of the committee, so that's why I asked. Thank you. I'll send it to Ms. Casimir.
Okay. Any more referrals to the committee? Mr. Traber.
Yes, I have I think it's a referral to committee. If it's not, I don't mind being corrected. I've heard twice this past week at committee meetings, a referral to the school closures, as if the original plan is going forward. And I guess I would ask that it be changed to the school reorganization plan. We're going to have a facilities review done and just a full study done that we're going to be talking about later tonight. And on the basis of that, we're going to look at what makes sense with regard to the future of the Bridgeport facilities and organization of our students. And yet we continue to talk. I heard it on WICC as you reported being.
Mr. Traber, what is your referral to committee that you want to call it what?
That we refer to this as a school reorganization plan.
Okay, thank you for your referral. We're now going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Instruction and Support Services Committee. Ms. Perez?
The Instruction and Support Services Committee met on May 18th, last Tuesday. That wasn't the 18th, I'm sorry. It was May 21st. Some of the items that we discussed 2 field trips, one to Winthrop and Marin, one for Winthrop and Marin's tag program. The students will be going to Boston, and they are going to be using World Stride as the company that arranges the whole trip. During the committee, we talked about the code of conduct, medical releases that were provided, student and chaperone ratio is 5-to-1. World Stride is providing overnight chaperones that will stay up throughout the night in the hallways in the hotel. And students will be provided most meals during the trip. The next trip was the BMA field trip to Kettletown State Park. 15 students will attend with 3 chaperones. It's an overnight camping trip, and it's a science-based trip. We also discussed the AP curriculum per some of the students who have talked about it and parents. We discussed that our city has AP classes that are semester-based, not full year long, like other districts. That presents a problem during testing, which happens in the spring. Not all of our students are required to take the test. So of those who do take the test, only 42% of them actually score a grade that can be used for college credits. And so we're in the process of discussing whether the district should go to full year long courses, which will take some time, and hopefully we have input from teachers and the staff and students. So that'll be Ms. Murchison's agenda in the next couple weeks. We also discussed a nonfiction book purchase through Capstone, which will be presented tonight. This is through a federal grant. It will be to purchase nonfiction books for our K-8 schools. And these books will be distributed throughout the district once the purchase goes through. And that is all I'm going to share.
I'll open up the floor for referrals to committee. Mr. Benahan.
Thank you. Ms. Perez, I will refer you the chronic absency data, % of the student absent from each school for the year, the chronic absency numbers. I just email you all the information, so you just receive my email.
Okay, thank you.
Also, would like to follow what I sent you like I believe 2 months ago about the refers something. I would like, I don't want everything at the same time, but if we can be followed, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes, I'd like to re-refer my early start time surveys. Missed a couple of meetings as just coming at and also I'd like to refer suspension expulsions, student demographic by race, gender, so We used to spot trends and see if there's any one group being disparately impacted by suspensions and expulsions. We haven't done that in a while. Thank you.
Thank you.
As well.
All right, seeing there's no other referrals to that committee, we'll move on to the Policy, Personnel, and Contracts Committee. We met on May 21st, 2024. We interviewed several candidates, including the Executive Director of Specialized Services, the Executive Director of Turnaround Schools, CFO, and Director of Mathematics. One of the agenda items on today's new business referral to the full board, the approval of the CES contracts for elements of our facilities master plan. It's kind of self-explanatory with the date and age of our prior plan. The facilities master plan item moved unanimously from the Policy, Personnel, and Contracts Committee. We also had discussion regarding amendments to the bylaws that's not on the agenda for tonight. Any referrals to committee? All right, seeing that there's Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes, I'd like to refer an updated organizational chart. There's been many new additions and of staff, and we need to know who's responsible for what, where they lie in procedure. We had a lot of changes, so we need an updated organizational chart, and I will email that to you.
All right, just make sure you all send that to me via email. All right. The next item is the CAPE report. I'm actually going to pass the floor to Madam Vice Chair, Ms. Casimir, on the CAPE report, as well as any other board member that may want to discuss about the end of year wrap-up session with CAPE. So Ms. Casimir.
Yes, I'll make this quick to give other board members that were present an opportunity to speak. Just a couple of things that that I wanted to point out is they talked about how a board member should be a voting member of the city school building committee. So we do have that. Ms. Perez and Mr. Benahan are voting members. They talked about Senate Bill 420. I know that many people probably saw, I believe it was Senator Gaston on the Facebook Live City of Bridgeport Facebook website, and they're talking about concerning illegally passing school buses. So I thought this was interesting. This is when the school buses stopped with the flashing lights and the sign out. And so it includes parking areas or any school properties, highways, or private roads. Any person who violates, meaning any person who passes the school bus with the flashing lights, will be fined from $450 to $1,000 and or imprisoned for 30 days or less. So if the driver reports your license plate number and color and the type of car, the police officer shall issue a written warning or a summons to the owner of any such vehicle. So if you let someone drive your car, the owner of the car is on the hook as if you violated the law yourself. School buses now have cameras also on the side of them. There was a proposal to increase, I thought this was interesting, and other board members that were there can just add more to this, but there's been a proposal for a while to increase the salaries of teachers, the minimum salaries to $60,000, but it keeps getting shot down. And again, other board members can speak on that, but they say it was for good reasons. I don't know. The FOI Commission, while attending executive session with the board, the superintendent has to have an opinion or testify to the agenda items. Their discussion has to be relevant and pertinent. When on social media, they said, and you are intertwining personal and business accounts, or if you're intertwining a board member is intertwining their board authority and their personal opinions or anything related to it, it says that you cannot delete or block people from commenting on that post. So if a board is, if you're exercising your board authority, you cannot block people from commenting on that post because you are violating their First Amendment right. But they said, if you disable comments on posts relating to your board authority, It will make it less likely to violate FOIA if you disable the comments and have nobody comment on your post. So there will be a wider definition of sexual harassment. CIAC, cisgender females took a case to court, or they're still in court, I believe, for transgenders not being allowed to compete in sport competitions. So I'm interested in that one, and I'm gonna continue to follow that. But again, I'll stop here and I'll let other board members that were present speak as to what they heard and saw at that meeting as well.
Are there any additions to the legislative update? Mr. Medina, your hand is up. Okay. Seeing no
I
other.
apologize. I was up from before, so I do apologize.
It was up
So
from
you
before.
took me on,
Oh.
yes.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the superintendent's report. Oh, wait. Mr. Traber?
Yeah, the overall, there was an effort made to increase the funding. There was a conflict of opinions between the governor and the legislature about that opinions. On the minimum salary that Ms. Casimir referred to, as reported and discussed, because there was no agreement on money, there was going to be no increase in the money in this session. This was a short session. So essentially, the parties all agreed they were not going to agree on any money increases. And so the money was allowed to just sit, as was from the last session. In the next legislative session, which will be a long session, these issues will be explored further when there will be no guardrails, as they refer to it. And we will have an opportunity to try and get more money for our students as needed. So that was why the minimum salary went nowhere. There is a minimum salary in Connecticut, as was reported, and it was an effort to increase it, as we did in our negotiations, as reported by the superintendent last fall. But this was an effort to legislate it, and it was not going anywhere. It was a movement by the two unions, AFT and CEA, but because it was a short session and the governor and the legislators were not agreeing, it was not going anywhere. So it will come up again in the next session, along with a lot of other money issue items that didn't go anywhere in this session.
All right, we're going to now move on to the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. The last 6 weeks have been very, very busy indeed. If you can go to the first slide, please. I'm waiting for the full slideshow.
A point of order is regarding process of procedure, Mr. Traber.
Thank you, Ms. Marini. Had the pleasure of attending my very first Bridgeport Education Fund Inspiration Awards, and to celebrate the many incredible educators that we have in the district, and to just become immersed in how it is that we recognize the work that they do, and also celebrate administrators in the district and the work that they do. And it was a very beautiful ceremony. I'm just really thankful that we have an entity that actually supports not only fundraising, but also providing our teachers with substantial financial rewards for their efforts. I think probably this is the first state where I've seen a teacher receive $20,000. And I just thought that was phenomenal and definitely life-changing for the recipient. So I hope that we'll be able to continue that tradition and continue to celebrate the amazing talent that we have in the district. Next slide, please. We held a career fair during the month of April, and we'll be holding another on Thursday, May 30th. And I really want to encourage anyone who is looking for a great opportunity to join a phenomenal team that is looking to completely transform education in the city of Bridgeport. Join us for this endeavor. It's probably the most important endeavor that I've ever taken on in my career. And I certainly know that our students and our teachers and our community and our parents need to have a school system that will produce students that are confident, prepared, and ready for the next stage of their lives upon completing a K-12 education. So if that is your passion, if that is what you're seeking, please join us. It's going to be a transformative year this coming school year, and we really look forward to all of the exciting opportunities for our educators and for our students and for their families in every single division, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school. Next slide, please. I was very honored, and I believe every single board member received an invitation for the Charlie Tisdale Scholarship Luncheon held by the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Rho Upsilon chapter in Bridgeport. It was a beautiful ceremony worthy of Mr. Tisdale's memory and worthy of the legacy of service that he left here in Bridgeport, and to see individuals continue to fundraise in his name and support students in need with a meaningful scholarship each and every year certainly warmed my heart, and I know it made him proud. And our recipient this year was Angeline, and she's a student at Harding. I'm withholding her last name. And she was honored with her scholarship, both for her academics and also for her public service in the city of Bridgeport. And I know her family is extremely proud. Next slide, please. Our Tango Flight program continues to break records in the skills that our students are able to attain through this experience. I had the pleasure of meeting with the supporters and implementers of this program at BASIC. We are currently in discussions to expand the Tango Flight program to other comprehensive high schools in Bridgeport. And it's extremely satisfying to see students not only have the ability to build an aircraft, but also have the ability and the opportunity to see that aircraft at work, which was the case. And I just want to thank everyone who attended that event and has attended every year since we began the program, and look forward to many more successes with this program. A very interesting fact is that our program, our Tango Flight program, is one of the most successful and enduring programs across the country. This program has been implemented in other districts and has not always been successful. So the fact that we're able to engage students for a project that lasts the amount of time that this project does, to learn new skills and have graduates that go on to work in the field is spectacular. And I just really look forward to continuing to partner with Tango Flight. Next slide, please. I had the honor and privilege of representing the district at WICC with both Mrs. Lisa Wexler and Mrs. Melissa Sheketoff. And it was an amazing opportunity to highlight not only the wonderful transition that we are experiencing here in Bridgeport, but also our district priorities, the things that we hold dear and that we want to achieve for students in the city of Bridgeport. And one of the incredible things about this experience is that it's not often that we have opportunities to showcase great information about our district with the media. The fact that they're paying such close attention to this process, paying such close attention to the data that we are sharing regarding where we are and where we are planning to be in the next decade. This school district is such an integral part of this community. The rise of the middle class really relies on the success of the school district. And so the fact that we have such dedicated journalists who provided this opportunity. And I have to thank Mr. Wayne Winston. I don't know if he's here or if he's not, but just really thank him for making that connection so that we could actually have the opportunity to share this information. And we plan to continue this partnership so that more individuals across Fairfield County and throughout the state of Connecticut remain informed about the priorities, the work, the resources, the funding, the challenges, and the fact that we remain dedicated to this work and will continue to do so. And that we really want to bring along more partners in this journey who believe in our students' ability to exceed every expectation. Next slide. I had the honor of attending the Connecticut Academy of Science and Engineering's 49th annual meeting and dinner. This was a truly special event, one that I think should be replicated across the country if it isn't already, where the best and brightest in the field of science and engineering in the state of Connecticut gather annually for their annual meeting to induct new members and to celebrate and model the path for students starting in middle school and also high schoolers who are able to showcase, in the case of our middle schoolers, their creative inventions, and in the case of high schoolers, their science projects. And the science projects that I saw were amazing. We, for the very first time, it's the 49th year, this is the very first year that Bridgeport was represented at this event, and I think that deserves a hand. Three students from Discovery Magnet entered creative projects, creative invention projects, and were selected from among students across the state to participate in this event. And I was so very proud of all of them for their poise, because they actually got to engage and talk to all of the scientists and engineers, present their projects, explain what motivated them to develop their inventions, and explain how they plan to not only implement them in the future, but apply them for future use. And we have some young entrepreneurs that you may be seeing on Shark Tank real soon. So I was really impressed with our students and the way that they represented themselves at this event. I was also so incredibly impressed with the high schoolers who attended and their projects. We had projects ranging from genetic engineering to the thermodynamic energy created by tires to fuel electric vehicles. And these were created by high schoolers. And I certainly believe, and I know everybody in this room does as well, that in the not too far future, our students in Bridgeport will be represented along with those students that were there from Greenwich and Westminster and some of the other districts. I believe the students at Bridgeport will be competing in the high school section of science and engineering very soon. So I'm really appreciative of the opportunity and just felt in awe of being in the same room with one of the scientists who developed treatment for COVID-19. Next slide, please. Thank you. I had the pleasure, along with our cabinet, to visit the Child Nutrition Center, which is led by our director, Mr. Keoma Steele, and to be able to walk every single part of the Nutrition Center, observe their entire operation, and see exactly what it takes to feed 20,000 students every single day. To say that the experience that I had was impressive would not even begin to cover what we experienced in the Child Nutrition Center. The individuals who work there are completely dedicated to providing our students with nutritious meals, providing them with creative meals, providing them with safe meals, and providing them with 3 meals a day. And to see this operation was so inspiring that we're actually planning to write curriculum that will include students visiting the Child Nutrition Center as part of our STEM and math program, because the work that they do is truly impressive. And I do want to thank Mr. George Garcia, our Chief of Facilities and Operations, for not only supporting Mr. Steele in the continued growth of the Nutrition Center, but also in making us aware of the amazing work that is happening in that department. We got to actually have lunch together, which they prepared, and it was amazing. And I'm just looking forward to all of the work that's going to happen in the future. We are listening to all of the feedback from our students regarding the meals that they like and the meals that they don't. But let me tell you, the work that is implemented at the Child Nutrition Center is simply spectacular and beyond anything that I've experienced in much larger districts. So I really commend them and I thank them for their hospitality. Last week, I was able, along with many members of our board, to attend the Alliance 2024 annual scholarship meeting. And I think for me, one of the most gratifying pieces was to actually see students introduce themselves, talk about where they go to school, talk about what their plans are for college, and to be handed a check immediately after their speech that is going to go toward their education. And to see their shining eyes and to see the pride in the parents for each one of these outstanding students was something that I'll probably never forget. It was a really beautiful experience. And I just want to commend the executive director for the work that she is doing. And this is Dr. Ferguson, the work that she is doing at Alliance, and for all of those who are working with Alliance, as well as their current chair, and look forward to continuing the partnership with them each year. Last week, I was also able to attend the Mayor's State of the City address. It was a well-attended, incredible event where the mayor outlined not only the current state of the city, but also the many accomplishments that the city has had in the past few years, the growing business interest and real estate interest in the city, and also the partnership to improve the state of education in the city of Bridgeport. It was very well attended. It was certainly a day to remember, and I am just looking forward to seeing Bridgeport continue to grow and thrive with every member of this community. Next slide. We also experienced a beautiful visit, a community conversation at several different levels with Mr. Calvin Terrell. Mr. Calvin Terrell is an incredible social and racial justice specialist who has done this work for decades in places like Ferguson, Missouri, and many other places where there's a need for a great deal of collaboration, important community conversations, and healing, and acknowledgement of the leadership that our students can provide in this process. Observing his visit to our schools and his conversations with our students, with our teachers, administrators, and with members of the community was certainly transformative. And I just want to thank Mr. Terrell for his dedication, for his work, and for continuing to do this really critical work especially in a community like ours, where we definitely have to ensure that we bring all parts of our city together to do what's best for kids and what's best for our overall growth in the next decade. Slide. Earlier today, I attended the press conference on bus safety held by Senator Gaston with many of members of our delegation and our mayor in order to outline very important legislation that will support holding people accountable who are putting our kids in danger and ensuring that we are able to provide students with safe transport to and from their homes each and every day, and that parents are able to have peace of mind knowing that we are actually looking out to ensure that commuters are not making bad choices and are respecting the need to have safe transportation for our students. Next slide. Also, over the course of the past month, I was able to attend Senator Blumenthal's press conference for the Seaside Park Grant, which will help to restore our historic arches and continue to preserve a very critical historic piece of Bridgeport history for generations to come. Thank you, Senator Blumenthal, for that. Next slide. And I'm going to conclude with what turned out to be a incredible leadership experience, both for the students and for the adults who were present. We held a student leadership and public service retreat, and we had over 60 high schoolers and juniors and seniors in the room who were able to engage with Carlos Collazo, who is the executive director for the Wakeman Boys and Girls Club, Chief Lance Edwards, our acting fire chief, Senator Heron Gaston, State Representative Antonio Felipe, City Council President Heidi Nieves, Mayor Joseph Ganem, State Representative Steve Stoffstrom, and also immediately after with Calvin Terrell for a critical conversation about the importance of public service, what it means to the city of Bridgeport, and how we can continue to make our city better. And our students had very intriguing and engaging conversations, questions, and engaged in meaningful dialogue around what it means to be a public servant in the city of Bridgeport. So I want to thank everyone who helped to make this event a success. I want to thank Howard Saffin for engaging us in the use of the amphitheater. And I just want to extend the hope that we will continue to do this annually and have even more students participate year after year. That concludes my superintendent report. Thank you.
All right, I'll open up the floor for any questions regarding the superintendent's report. All right, I don't see any questions. No, there's one question for Mr. Sokolovic.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, regarding the school buses and ticketing and such, we had a contract with the buses that was, we control the buses, we pay the entire contract. Cameras were installed under a contract where we've got a revenue sharing agreement. Can we make sure that's enforced, please? Because some of that revenue got to come directly to the Board of Education for Bridgeport Public Schools. So you can follow up with the city council. I was trying to find it a little earlier when I first saw the press conference.
I'll be sure to follow up. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Thank you.
Mr. Traber.
I just have a continuing request that people speak into the mic slowly, clearly, and the people in the audience, I can't hear what people are saying.
All right. Any more questions or comments for the superintendent's report? Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is unfinished business, which is discussion and possible action concerning the employment, performance, or evaluation criteria of Dr. Carmela Levy-David as public officer / employee of Bridgeport Board of Education. This item qualifies for executive session. I've had the opportunity, Board Member Joseph Sokolovic had brought to the attention of using the CAPE policy, the CAPE evaluation protocol. And I believe with the superintendent, that would comply with the mutually agreed upon terms and with the goals we've already set. So I would entertain a motion to enter into, to use the CAPE superintendent evaluation as the protocol for the evaluation of Dr. Carmela Levy-David. Ms. Perez?
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Perez. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Ms. Casimir. We're now in debate of this item. I don't see any hands up regarding debate. Mr. Sokolovic?
Yes, we're gonna be using the CAPE checklist in its entirety.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Traber?
I just want to understand what it is that's being proposed since we weren't given anything in the packet.
Yesterday, Ms. Casimir had circulated the CAPE superintendent evaluation, and it was also suggested by Mr. Sokolovic at our special meeting that we use the CAPE evaluation protocol that's available on the website.
There were numerous things suggested at that meeting, and Ms. Casimir circulated yesterday was not told to us that that would be used as the final for this tonight. So I'm just being clear.
It wasn't. It was a motion that was made by Ms. Perez and second to use that protocol as suggested for Mr. Sokolovic from the previous
So I
meeting.
just want to be clear what I'm being asked to vote on right now. That's all. I'm not arguing about it. I just want to make sure that I understand. We got sent something by Ms. Casimir yesterday. I did not know it was being proposed for a solution.
Okay.
You know, it was sent to us yesterday evening.
Are you done, Mr. Traber? Okay, oh, well, let me follow through Robert's rules and go around to all the board members who haven't had an opportunity to speak yet. Any questions or comments, Mr. Medina?
None at this time, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Benahan? Say that on the microphone, please.
No, on this moment.
Okay. Mr. Woodson?
No comment.
Okay. Ms. Perez?
No comment.
Okay, Ms. Casimir?
No comment.
All right, so now I'm gonna circle back around, Mr. Sokolovic.
Right, so for further clarification, we're gonna be using a truncated version that just includes the superintendent's evaluation, or are we intended to go, we're not intending to go to each and every step, correct?
We're going to use the version from CAPE and just input the goals that we had developed back in October, November. I can't remember the exact date right now, but it's the goals that the previous board had accepted then would be inputted into the evaluation tool that's made by CAPE.
And when will we be getting the evaluation form to begin?
Well, the moment we approve this, then we insert the goals into the chart and it's circulated, and we give the superintendent enough time to create a presentation for the full board. Hopefully that can be done sometime next month, depending on the timeline, or we'll hold a special meeting, hopefully before the conclusion of the school year.
Thank you.
All right, circling back, Mr. Traber.
I pass for now. I'll come back.
Okay, seeing that there's no other hands up, Mr. Traber, this is your opportunity during debate to ask your last comment regarding it, or we're going to move forward, seeing that no other board members' hands up, into a vote. All right, so now we are going to.
If I'm just trying to look for what she sent, because I tried to print out both of them at home so that I could look at what she sent to see if it was different than what we had been given before. And
Point of personal privilege by Ms. Perez.
This was also given us by Mr. Caruso a few weeks ago, the same information.
And that's why I tried to print it out, Ms. Perez. I understand. I thought it might be, but I wasn't sure, so I wanted to look at it. And what I printed out was the one of the two, and I thought I printed them both out. So now I'm trying to look it up to see, because the one I printed out was not the evaluation superintendent, it was the board evaluation. And I was looking to see if it was the Great Cities thing, evaluation that the chair had said she was going to send us. So that's what I was looking for. I understand what you're saying, and I thought it might be that. And I was looking to see if it was anything different than what we'd seen before, since it was being sent to us and it wasn't said this is the same thing. So now I'm trying to see. I understand, but I just didn't realize that. And it's not in our packet, so I don't have it in front of me.
Huh?
Well, it's not in the packet, right?
All right. So all in favor of using the CABE protocol as the evaluation tool for the evaluation of Dr. Carmela Levy-David as moved by Ms. Perez. All in favor? Aye.
Roll call vote.
What did you say? Roll call vote. Ms. Perez?
Christine Baptiste Perez,
Yes.
Albert Benahan,
Yes.
Akeisha Castamere,
Yes.
Willie Medina,
Abstain.
Jennifer Perez, yes. Joseph Sakalovic,
Yes.
Rob Traber,
Pass.
Andre Woodson, Rob Draper,
Abstain.
All right.
Motion carries. The CABE evaluation protocol will be used for the performance evaluation of Dr. Levy-David. The next item on unfinished business is discussion and possible action concerning the workers' compensation settlement agreement. This item too qualifies for executive session. Is there a motion to enter into executive session? It's been moved by Ms. Perez. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Ms. Casimir. And we're now in debate. Any debate about going to executive session about our workers' comp settlements? Seeing none.
Can we ensure that we mention who's going in and what we're referring to? I think we got to give a little more clarity.
In the workers' compensation settlements, the attorney for our workers' comp attorney, I forgot Miss Christine's last name. Yeomans, there we go. I couldn't forget your first name. That was actually pretty easy for me. Is there any comment or feedback that you can give as superintendent regarding the workers' compensation settlements?
Defer to our CHRO, Dr. Janine Hawkins, for that.
Okay, so entering into executive session would be Attorney Christine Yeomans, and then we can welcome into the room our CHRO, Dr. Janine Hawkins, for further discussion regarding any additional details we may have. All right, all in favor of moving into executive session? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Time now is 8:28. We'll be moving into executive session. All right. And we're back from executive session. The time now is 9:10 p.m. I'll entertain at this time a motion to enter into the workers' compensation settlement agreements as discussed in executive session. Is there a motion? Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
I make the motion.
All right, it's been moved by Ms. Perez. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Mr. Benahan. We're now in debate. Is there any debate? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the workers' comp settlements as discussed in executive session, say aye. Aye. Any abstentions? Any noes? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda, we're in new business, is discussion and possible approval of John Winthrop and Luis Marin field trip to Boston, Massachusetts from June 4th to June 6, 2024. And it also, because this was already presented at committee, you can give like a 10,000-foot overview. You don't have to go give the full presentation like from the committee level. So you can tell us all the awesomeness, okay? Thank you. You just need to hit the button with the person to your, there you go.
Great. Thank you so much for allowing me to present on behalf of John Winthrop and Luis Munoz Marin's Talented and Gifted program, grades 6 through 8. We plan to travel, we're seeking approval to travel to Boston on June 4th, 5th, and coming home on the 6th. We're doing some incredible things, going to the Boston Science Museum, taking one of the duck tours, going on a number of the Freedom Trail walks, exploring Quincy Market, and doing a lot of other really amazing things. So we appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you. Ms. Perez?
I move to approve the field trip for John Winthrop and Luis Marin to Boston, Massachusetts from June 4th.
Is
June 6th.
All right. It's been seconded by Mr. Sokolovic. Mr. Traber?
I was just going to second.
All right. All in favor? Well, is there any, we're in debate. Is there any debate? Seeing none. All in favor of approving the field trip? Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Have fun on the field trip.
Thank you all.
All right. The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of Bridgeport Military Academy's overnight field trip to Kettletown State Park, Southbury, Connecticut from May 31st, 2024 to June 2nd, 2024. Also, hi, Mr. Lip. Just give an executive overview as it was already presented on the committee level and passed.
I understand. We're going to be sending 3 teachers, naval science teacher, the forensic and AP biology teacher, one of our social studies teachers, 2 males and 1 female, up with 16 students up to Kettletown Park for a 2-night overnight camping trip. They're going to be looking at some forensic stuff and some basic survival things. The package you guys have, all the permission slips are done. I have nobody with any food allergy except for lactose intolerant. And we're going to be cooking over the open fire and making some s'mores.
Okay. Ms. Perez?
I move to approve the BMA overnight field trip to Kettletown State Park.
All right. The motion's been made by Ms. Perez. It's been seconded by Mr. Benahan. We're now in debate. The maker of the motion has the opportunity to discuss anything. Do you have anything to add to it, Ms. Perez? That's not enjoy your field trip? Okay. All right. Well, looks like there's no debate. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Motion passes unanimously. Enjoy the camping. Make me a s'more. That's not conditioned on the field trip. Thank you, Mr. Lip.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Thank you.
You too. The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of the nonfiction book purchase through Capstone. And I know you probably heard me say this, but just give an executive level overview because this passed favorably in the committee level. So just high level.
All righty, so we're here to propose for approval the purchase of nonfiction books for our library refresh for our elementary schools. The amount of purchase is $589,177.12. This is going to provide anchor content for all of our school libraries throughout the district. And the intention of this is to increase the number of titles that are and relevant resources that are available to all of our students in Bridgeport Public Schools. This is funded through a grant. The money has already been allocated. We just need your approval to go with this purchase.
All right. Mr. Benahan,
Thank you. I make a motion on proof of non-fiction books purchased through Caspon.
all right. It's been moved by Mr. Benahan, seconded by Ms. Perez. We're now in debate. The maker of the motion has the opportunity to speak first on the motion. Mr. Benahan, do you have anything to say during debate? You sure? Positive? Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, seeing that no other hands up are right now in debate, all in favor of approval of the non-fiction book purchase through Capstone, say aye. Aye. Any noes, any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously by the board.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is discussion and possible approval of contracting agreement with CES for the delivery elements of the district's facilities master plan. We have Mr. Pires here. Hi, Mr. Pires.
Good evening, everyone. This is requesting your approval to engage CES in procuring the demographic study that was agreed upon to conclude the studies that will be performed for the district. This will be part one of the process. I'll be coming before you within another week or so, or maybe at the next meeting, to solicit the facilities master plan study.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Pires. I'll open up the floor. Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes, sir. I got a couple of questions through you, Madam Chair. This says it's going to be done in conjunction with the facility condition assessments report. These two different contracts.
There's two separate contracts. This is for the demographic study. And then there'll be one for the facilities master plan. The facilities master plan will combine with the demographic, and there'll be a 3 to 10 year study for the whole district.
And the city will be paying for both?
The city is now committed to pay for the first phase, which is this phase. We actually have the funds in place. And it's in an account that's specifically to be used for this particular study. And we're still negotiating to see if there's any money available for the city side to pay for the facilities master plan.
Okay, and part of this plan is this part, community is going to be able to give input.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Community input, community input is going to be considered as part of the study?
Yes, there's a process delineated in the proposal. We will, I think, establish a committee. I think the superintendent will lead that effort. And it'll have members of staff, community, and actually members of the board participating in this process.
Right. I'm wondering if it would be beneficial for the firm and not the board to lead these community conversations, because people are going to be emotional.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's why. That's all. Is it possible to approach the firm with such a proposal that they conduct the studies, the community conversations and such? Because the real last community conversations were really quite contentious, and people are going to be mourning the possible loss of their schools, and they're going to be quite emotional. I don't want to have any.
There will be a kickoff meeting. There's a list of data that they're going to ask us for to begin the study. I think part of the follow-up discussions are going to be input from, but I think this study is strictly focusing on demographics. and in the movement of people within the city of Bridgeport, the trend.
Mr. Traber, you're out of order. Mr. Traber, you're out of order. You're out of order. You know what? Your conduct is unacceptable. It's unprofessional. And I'm not telling him. He has the ability to read. Go ahead, Mr. Pires.
I am speaking.
I can't hear you, Mr. Traber. Oh, great. Congratulations. What about God? Mr. Traber, you're out of order. Congratulations. You are not the role model I like to see from children right now because your inability to follow the rules of process. I'm not telling you either. Read the book. I'm saying. You gotta say, no, gotta say it correctly. Nope, it's not a point of. There you go. Read the book. There you go. State your point of personal privilege.
Mr. Traber, I think if you state a point of personal privilege, then you can speak. That's the Roberts rules.
All right, Mr. Pires, we're just going to move on back to the content. If there's any questions.
Madam Chair, I wasn't finished with the floor.
Yes, Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes.
You still had the floor, actually.
Thank you. Train of thought for a moment. As far as the facilities and the demographics, we're going to take into We're going to take into consideration the new construction going up at Steel Point with a couple of hundred apartments and possible children they'll be having and moving into the town to have, because I believe that's one of the district schools that were slated for closure, and it's going to be a significant increase in that demographics.
I'm not sure what the study is going to reveal, but if that's the case, then it'll show on the study.
Right, because we got quite a few multiple apartment buildings and apartment complexes coming online. I believe there's one on somewhere in the other side of town as well. I'd hate to get into this and not.
I believe that part of the study, the company will take a look at anything that's projected to be built, in what side of town that it's going to be built, and they will take all of that into the analysis in terms of how they will make the recommendation for space and so forth.
Yes, if you don't mind, I'll chime in and answer that too. And the point with the demographic study is so that way we have projections and forecastings. So Steel Point development, as well as other developments throughout towns, they look at the census data, they look at the real estate market. It's in the packet too about the realtor that they use in terms of home affordability, the types of units being built. It's a really comprehensive study that will address where, if and when it's time and appropriate, depending on the neighborhood and the growth in a particular neighborhood, in order to build a new facility. And then also in terms of the demographic study, really predict how our facilities are going to be used. If you look at our last facilities update in terms of utilization, it'll be able to work with what we have and do some forecastings as to this population may continue to decline on this part of town, but we may need a new facility and in a hypothetical other part of town. So it's going to be really good at forecasting based off of the need of the district where a new facility will be built, as well as helping us do it responsibly. And as Mr. Pires said, this is just for the first part with the demographic study. And then the facilities master plan, I don't think was updated since 2008-ish, George, something like that. Long time. It hasn't been updated. The facilities master plan, the last time it was actually updated by the district, 2012. So we can use the demographic study to push what's going to be needed in partnership with it. So this will help with the part one of it, with the demographic study, and hopefully we'll get the funds from the city for the facilities master plan.
Thank you. And yeah, that brings me to the hopefully part. That's what I'm also concerned with. Because I don't know, the last time we priced out a facilities master plan, it was, correct me if I'm wrong, for 175 or over 200,000 for the.
Facility master plans can range anywhere from $200,000 to $500,000, depending on the scope of the work.
And that's going to be in addition to the 197, and the city has set aside 250.
I'm sorry?
And the city, I believe, set it, was it $250,000 the city set aside for this process?
For this particular project,
Right.
$200,000 is what we received from the city
Already been
for this particular project. Now, there's another phase of it, which is the facilities master plan, that we expect that there'll be a contribution from the city. The final amount, we're not sure yet.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions regarding the phase one, which would be the demographic study? Mr. Traber.
Didn't hear you properly, Madam Chair, so if you would clarify what you just asked of me.
It's a demographic study.
I'm sorry.
Demographic study.
I really can't hear you, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, Mr. Traber. Maybe the minutes will reflect more clearly what I'm saying. But for the interest of time, it is a demographic study.
Ah,
All right, Ms. Perez.
I make a motion to approve the contract agreement with CES for the delivery of elements for the district's facilities master plan.
It's been moved by Ms. Perez, second by Mr. Benahan. All right, we are now in debate. The maker of the motion has the opportunity to speak first about the motion. Ms. Perez, you're shaking your head in enthusiasm? Oh, okay, just checking. All right, we're in debate now. Mr. Traber, you have your hands up.
I had a question earlier, and in that question, in the first page of the demographic study, I don't know. That's why I didn't understand what you said, Madam Chair. Task one is not the demographic study. So I don't know if do I not have the right to ask about task one?
You're talking about the agenda, Mr. Traber? What are you referring to?
Well, what we were given has a task one, scope of services. Under scope of services, task one, project initiation, data collection.
Is that the document from MP Planning Group?
Yes.
What's the question?
The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet down says succinct summary of any recent programmatic deficiencies or planned programmatic changes at the elementary and high school facilities. Do we have such an item?
I don't know if we have that item. That's just a list of things that they're looking for if we don't have it.
So at what point will this data be collated?
As soon as your approval is gathered tonight, we will start gathering this information and share it with the vendor.
Okay. Okay, that was the only question that I had about this. Thank you.
All right, any other, we're in debate. Anybody else from the board have any questions or comments regarding debate? All right. Mr. Traber, this is your second time speaking.
Did I understand you to say that this is coming out of, this is not being paid for by the city, but the board is paying for this in answer to Mr. Sokolovic's question earlier?
Can you repeat that?
Okay. In answer to a question that we did not understand from Mr. Sokolovic earlier, did you say that the city is not paying for this, we are paying for this? Because earlier, who's paying for this $200,000?
This $200,000 is being paid by the city of Bridgeport. We have received the funds for this particular part of the study.
That's what we couldn't hear down at this end. As you explained that, Mr. Pires, we were trying to understand, and we couldn't hear the explanation. And so that's why I'm asking. So we're voting on this $200,000 expenditure tonight, or what is it we're being asked to vote on?
You're approving the demographic study, which costs $200,000, for which we have $200,000 on deposit from the city to pay for it.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Did you get that?
Mr. Sokolovic?
Oh, yes, the proposed timeline, 'cause I see a lot in the end, they got due dates and all that. But it's not filled in yet. They got coordination of meetings and community outreach as part of it as well. That's a deliverable. And this is one of the questions I had from the, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a group of timelines at the end of the project about how long before these are completed and will be updated as it goes along.
From my understanding of the proposal, it could take anywhere between 5 to 6 months to complete this particular study.
So good.
But it's dependent, let me clarify that. It's also dependent on, there's portions of this demographic study that rely on the facilities master plan as well. So there's some coordination that needs to happen for the complete study to be made. So 5, 6 months, demographics will be done. And then you need to incorporate the facilities master plan in order to have a full picture of what.
Right, thank you. And do we have a timeline? Sorry, do we have a timeline? Do we have a timeline of when the facilities master plan will be ready to be integrated?
We're in the process of getting a proposal from the company that does that so that we can establish what the cost is going to be. And then we're going to have to identify the funding sources for that. If the city's going to contribute for the whole thing, then they'll pay for it. If not, then we'll have to make that decision when the time happens.
Right. So we got a ballpark timeline, order of magnitude?
I can get you a proposal probably within the next couple of weeks, but I can't get you a proposal. I can't get you a definitive answer of how much money we will have to spend on it.
Right. Okay, thank you.
All right. Anyone else that want to participate in debate? Seeing none, all in favor of entering into the contract with CES for the delivery of elements of the district's facility master plan, say aye. Aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Oh, Mr. Traber abstains. Okay. Obviously, that's such a great observation. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Oh, yes. All right. Mr. Medina abstains.
Thank you.
All right. Motion carries. Selective. All right. Selective is an insurance company. All right, moving on. The last item on the agenda is discussion and possible approval for authorizing the filing of FCC Form 471 Schools and Libraries Universal Service Program for fiscal year 24-25. Jeff, please give us an executive summary, 10,000 feet up. This already went through the committee level and passed, so no need to repeat the past.
Okay, no problem. Good evening, board. This is our annual ratification that we need to do as part of our FCC filing. What it basically is it is a program that funds the lion's share of all of our connectivity for everything in the entire district, and also funds the equipment that we put in for as part of our category 2. And so essentially the board, as part of the formality of this process, must read into the record the statement that's here so that we can approve that, so that we may receive all the funding that provides for our programs.
All right, Ms. Perez.
I make a motion to approve the authorizing of the filing of FCC Form 471 Schools and Libraries Universal Service Program for the fiscal year 24-25.
Thank you so much for.
I heard something from the other side. Did you say something, Mr. Benier? Huh? Oh, okay. I can hear you now. selective. All right, it's been moved by Ms. Perez, second by Mr. Benahan. You want your mic on too? There you go.
So move from Mr. Benahan.
No, it was moved by Mr.
Right.
Perez.
A second, sorry. Apologize.
What you said, Howard, Mr. Benahan? All right, it's been moved by Ms. Perez. It's been seconded by Mr. Benahan. We're now in this debate. Okay, she's shaking her head no because she knows I'm going to say the speaker of the motion, the maker of the motion has the opportunity to speak first. Mr. Sokolovic, go ahead.
Question is I see the resolutions written down. I didn't hear if did we use the whole language? Are we obligated to use the whole language in an included resolution? And did you do that?
Yes, this is the standard resolution that we do annually for basically all the different services, and Universal Service Access is the entity that provides the money for this filing.
Anything else, Mr. Sokolovic?
Yeah, I believe you should probably, in the interest of safety, or just withdraw the motion in a second and just remake the motion with the language. Do you need to?
Okay, Ms. Perez is going to withdraw her motion. Mr. Benahan, would you like to withdraw your second?
Can I hear you?
Just withdraw your second.
Okay, a second. Drop, yeah.
All right. Okay. I'd like to make the
Mr. Benahan is
following
going to withdraw
motion.
his second. Mr. Sokolovic's going to make the motion.
Okay, thank you. I would like to make the following motion: that be it resolved that the governing board for the Bridgeport School District authorizes the filing of Form 471 Schools and Libraries Universal Service Program services ordered for the fiscal year 7/1/24 through 6/30/2025. It authorizes the payment of the applicant's share subject to the following conditions. 1, approval of funding of the discounted portion by the Schools Library Division, SLD, of the Universal Service Administration Company, USAC. And 2, receipt of services during the fiscal year 7/1/2024 and 6/30/2025.
Point of personal privilege. I didn't hear you.
Thank you.
Could you repeat that? That's an appropriate point of personal privilege.
Okay. Make the following motion. Be it resolved that the governing board for the Bridgeport School District authorizes the filing of FCC Form 471 Schools and Libraries Universal Service Program services ordered for the fiscal year July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, and also authorizes the payment of the applicant's share subject to the following conditions. Approval of funding of the discounted portion by the Schools and Libraries Division, SLD, of the Universal Service Administrative Companies, USAC, and 2, receipt of services during the fiscal year July 1st, 2024 and June 30th, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Sokolovic. It's been moved and seconded by Ms. Perez. All right. Oh, I don't believe you were heard, Ms. Perez.
Second.
It's been seconded by Ms. Perez. We are now in debate. The maker of the motion has the opportunity to speak first in debate regarding the motion. Mr. Sokolovic, is there anything you'd like to say about your motion? Okay. All right. Mr. Medina?
None, I would just have my hand raised.
Okay. All right. Seeing that there's none, all in favor of entering into the agreement as read by Mr. Sokolovic, say aye. Aye. The ayes have. Any noes? Any abstentions? Seeing none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Perez, second by Ms. Casimir. All in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. The time is 9:39 p.m. The meeting has adjourned.
Thank you, board. Appreciate it.